Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. I wanted to start out by apologizing for not doing a video yesterday. I know when we started this channel back in March, I said try to post something every day. And up until yesterday, we had posted one every single day, except for the Thursday we were on vacation because we were out of town and we wanted to just enjoy our last day being in town and have as much fun as we could and not worry about doing videos. Of course, we did do one that Friday night when we got back home, but yesterday was the first time we have not made one, and it was because our twins were sick and they got sick late Saturday night and they were sick all day yesterday. So I just didn't do one. I was focused on them and I apologize for that, but they must have had a short 24-hour bug because everything's back to normal now. So I figured I'd get on here and we'll do our weekly Braves report. I try to do one per week for all the baseball fans out there. And I'll also mention some other baseball facts along the way as we go. So when you watch this video later on, let me know what you think about the Braves so far. I still say they're going to win the division. Let me know if you agree with me or not. And of course, coming up tomorrow, we're going to recap the NASCAR race at Richmond. And then on Wednesday, we'll have our top 10 countdown of the week. And don't know yet what else we'll be doing later on in the week, but we will talk about something. Most of the big time college football teams have already had their spring games. If not, they're going to have their spring game this week. Usually April is when everybody plays their spring game. So when May gets here, we'll get more into college football and talk about it more. We'll do some more over-unders and all that kind of stuff, but it's still April, so don't want to focus on college football too much. It's still early, still a long way to go. But the Braves won last night by the score of 13-4. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to wonder if whether or not the Braves either push their young talent too quick or if these young guys just aren't as good as they're supposed to be because they've let a lot of their starting pitchers go. Now, of course, they keep bringing in veteran guys. Like last year they had Cole Hamels, but of course he only started one game. And then Felix Hernandez never played. But this year they brought in Charlie Morton. So they keep bringing in veteran guys on short-term deals. But for the most part, the rotation now is young guys. And Touki Toussaint has never been any good. Kyle Wright is always inconsistent. Bryce Wilson is always inconsistent. And then, of course, they let Josh Donaldson go. And to me, Austin Riley is a great third baseman, but he cannot hit. They let Tyler Flowers go for Alex Jackson. Alex Jackson can't hit. They let Duvall go. They let Markakis go. They've got Christian Pache in center. And to me, Pache either can't hit or he's just not ready. And they started the season with Mike Soroka already on the DL. He was supposed to try to come back by May, but he's already suffered a setback in training to come back. So I'll say it'll be at least June before he comes back. And now they've put Max Fried on the DL. And they've put Drew Smiley on the DL. So right now the Braves' starting rotation is Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson, and Huascar Ynoa, and Bryce Wilson, and Kyle Wright. And then, of course, in the bullpen, they let Melanson go. They let Green go. And Martin is actually hurt right now. And all these young guys in the bullpen are supposed to be really good, and they've just been inconsistent. Will Smith is great one night and terrible the next night. So maybe I'm alone, but I feel like the Braves are either pushing these young guys too soon or this young talent they have is not as good as they're supposed to be. But right now, the Braves sit at 7-9. They opened the season by losing 4 in a row, and then they won 4 in a row, and then they lost 3 in a row, and then they finally won the last game against the Marlins, and then took 2 of 3 over the weekend from the Cubs, and now they're at 7-9. Hopefully, the 13 runs they scored last night is the beginning of the Braves' offense and getting it going because they've got enough offense. If they hit consistently, they can cover up for the fact that Soroka and Fried and Smiley are all 3 on the DL. They're off tonight. And then they have a short 2-game series with the Yankees tomorrow and Wednesday. The Yankees are 5-10, which is their worst start through 15 games in a long time. The Yankees have an incredible offense, but outside of Garrett Cole, they have no starting pitching whatsoever. So those 2 games should be very exciting with the Yankees pitching being so bad and the Yankees offense hitting so good. It should be 2 high-scoring games, but you watch, I'll say that it'll be 1-0 and 3-2. Beforehand, it looks like there's going to be 2 going to be full of offensive explosion on both sides. But the Braves right now have been hit by the injury bug. That happens. You hope that since it's April, they're getting it all out of their system now. And when they get these players back, they'll be able to go through the rest of the season. Hopefully not injury-free, but close to injury-free. You already had Pache on the injured list. And then Ender Inciarte, who's the backup center fielder, he got hurt. Now he's on the injured list. Not to mention, like I said, Soroka and Freed and Smiley all being on the injured list. And Martin out of the bullpen is still on the injured list. And then last night, Acuna left the game. And they haven't yet said what his injury is. Hopefully it won't be that bad because right now, up until last night, he's been carrying the Braves offense. He's on pace right now for 75 home runs. Of course, we know that's not going to continue, but it still shows you how great of a start he's off to. And Ozzie Albies didn't play yesterday or Saturday because of injuries, but he's not yet on the injury list. Hopefully he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow night. But Adrianza, who is Albies' backup, has actually been doing a really, really, really good job. The only Braves thing you can say right now is that they're being saved by the fact that the National League East is terrible. The Mets are off to a good start. They're 7-4. They've only played 11 games. They're actually in first place right now, and the Braves are 2.5 behind them. But we know how the Mets are. The Mets always start out good, and then by the middle of June, they're below 500. I don't think this year will be any different. They have great pitching, but they just can't hit. The Nationals are terrible. The Phillies are terrible. The Marlins are terrible. So the only thing that's saving the Braves right now, and the Braves saving grace, is the fact that the National League East is terrible. Same way with the Cubs. Now, the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. They're not the same team they were then. They don't nowhere near have close to the same starting rotation they had in 2016. But they've still got some pretty good hitters. I think they miss Kyle Schwarber. They let him go. He signed with the Nationals. But outside of Kyle Schwarber, they, for the most part, have the same big-time hitters. They just don't have the same rotation or the same bullpen. But the National League Central is just as bad as the National League East. So I still think the Cubs will end up winning that division, but they are off to a bad start. But let's get to a few other Major League Baseball news and notes. Now, I know I mentioned last week that I think Rob Manfred is going to destroy Major League Baseball. And if they don't get him out within 5 or 6 years, Major League Baseball as we know it is not going to be the same. If you're a baseball fan, let me know if you feel the same way I do or not. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't like Rob Manfred, but I think he's taking baseball in a terrible, terrible direction. If anybody wants to know why I feel that way, or if you feel the same way I do, drop in the comments. Let me know. Maybe we'll get into that coming up a little bit later on. But Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Indians had another great start. He now has 4 starts this year, and in all 4 starts, he has at least 10 strikeouts. First pitcher in Major League Baseball history to start the season with 4 starts of at least 10 strikeouts. And former Cardinal, former Yankee Lance Lynn was off to an incredible start this year, but he got placed on the injured list by the White Sox. He's pitched 19 2/3 innings this year. He was off to his best start of his career, and he's on hopefully just be the 10-day injured list with a strained trapezius. And former Pirate, current Marlin Starling Marte left the game yesterday with what looked like an oblique injury. So I'm sure he'll go on the DL. I never knew that you could have an oblique injury until a few years back when the Braves had that center fielder named Nate McLeod, and he pulled his strained oblique. And ever since then, it seems like about once a week in baseball, I hear of somebody pulling an oblique, and I had never heard of that until Nate McLeod strained his oblique back around 2009, 2010, somewhere along in there. And former Brave and former pretty much everybody, Anthony Swarzak, got released by the Diamondbacks. He had only pitched 4 2/3 innings this year and already given up, I believe, 6 runs. But, of course, he is close to 40 years old, so he might just go ahead and retire, but he may end up signing with somebody else. And Stephen Strasburg, if you remember Stephen Strasburg, they made like he was going to be the next Cy Young when he started, and he has had a pretty good career, but he's back on the injured list with shoulder inflammation. And 2019 was the only season that Stephen Strasburg's ever had where he went through the full season without getting injured, and he won 18 games that year. So it goes to show you how good Strasburg could be if Strasburg could stay healthy, but he never has. He's had a decent career. He has 112 career wins, an ERA of 3.2. Both of those are good, but if you remember how much they built him up back around 2010, and you look at his career numbers with 112 wins and 60 losses and a 3.2 ERA, he looks like just an average starting pitcher. But he's back on the injured list. And Jay Bruce retired yesterday. I don't know why he retired 2 weeks into the season, but he woke up Sunday morning and decided he was done. He was probably a career 240 hitter, had 319 career home runs. I want to say 951 career RBIs. So 300 home runs, almost 1,000 RBIs. That's a pretty decent Major League Baseball career, but he played for the Yankees this year, and he retired yesterday morning before their game yesterday afternoon. So if you're a baseball fan, drop me in the comments if you agree with me or not that the Braves still win the division. I still say they get it going. I think these injuries early in the season help them out tremendously, and I feel like when they get these guys back, they're going to be set to go for a while. Hopefully, they'll get these guys back, and the rest of the season, everything will be okay with a few exceptions here and there. Guys are going to miss a game here and there, but that's different than having 3 starting pitchers on the DL, your best reliever on the DL, your center fielder on the DL, and let's hope that they don't have to put Ronald Acuna on the injured list as well. Before we get out of here, I'll give you my dad joke of the day. What do you call a French man that wears sandals? Felipe Falape. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, remember, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.